Okay, well, hopefully you have already gone over the pre-class prep materials. If you have not, please take a minute to do so. Those are located if you go to our home page and then go to Lessons. You'll see the lessons listed out. You can click on Lesson 0, which is listed as Class Prep, and then follow everything on this page. Just go from the top down to the bottom and it will walk you through. This essentially orients you for using a Macintosh, and as well as just a couple tips for things that we will be doing frequently within the class. There is some extra credit points attached to this if you'd like to earn them. You can download the practice quiz. It's got about 30 questions, and take notes. Those questions will be on an actual quiz. I'll be pulling randomly 10 questions from those, and you can take that quiz on Canvas. I believe it's called Zero Class Prep Quiz. And those points are available up to through the second week of class. So let's take a look at today's page. Go to the Lessons tab, scroll down and click on Lesson 1. So today's point is going to be Introduction to the Course, Color Theory, and Adobe Photoshop CS6. So if you get a second, please read all of this. I'm just going to kind of touch really briefly on things. Each lesson there will be videos, tutorials, and resources. They will be located underneath these colored tabs on the right. Most often there will be video tutorials, but occasionally I will have images to reference or even files to download. If there is a quiz associated with that week, you will find a practice quiz download document. This is just a Word document that will have 20 to 30 questions that just reinforce what you've learned this week. Then the actual quiz on Canvas will have 10 questions that are randomly pulled from that practice quiz. I recommend doing these practice quizzes. I promise it's not just busy work. The questions for your midterm and final will be pulled from all of these practice quizzes. So it works very well as a kind of a notes practice for you. They are not mandatory, however. If you want to just do the material and then go take the quiz, you can do that. So the objectives for this week are listed as becoming familiar with the class syllabus, policies, and submission practices. Familiarize yourself with the website layout, resources, and how to access and download class files. Design principle that we're going to cover this week is color theory. And then we'll touch on how to open Photoshop and bring in an image from the website, save the image with a correct file name and format. And then you'll want to complete the practice quiz, take the quiz on Canvas, and then turn in all the assignments. So each week I'll have an objectives list. Mostly we'll have kind of 3 portions to our web page, and if you're one of my on-site students, we will be covering the first 2, part 1 and part 2, in class. So the files associated with those here on the right, such as there will be video tutorials. If you're an on-site student and we're present at the class, you won't need those video tutorials unless you want to brush up on something. For off-site students or any of my on-site students that have missed a class, that's a great way to keep up with your studies. I recommend following the web page from top to bottom. Reads logically, and occasionally I will also have some required watching. If I have required watching, we'll watch that in class. I expect, of course, everybody studying on their own to watch that. Pay attention to these questions as you do. The material for this week, as I was saying, it was color schemes. There will occasionally be external sources and helps that we'll take a look at. Part 2, there will be a practice exercise. This is where we take the lesson and actually try it out in class, and this is where you'll also learn about the various Photoshop tools. So for example, this week we will be learning about the eyedropper and color selection tool, the paint bucket and fill, and how to save a file out of Photoshop. Each one of these assignments, so the practice exercise is a file you will actually turn in, and you can get 2 points for them. So I know it's not a lot of points, it's just one of those things that I can see that you are actually getting the tool use. So here are instructions as well as the rubric that I'll be grading by, and I will include those for anything that I expect you to turn in. And then the last part is part 3, the assignments, and this is the out of class part. However, for my on-site students, if we actually have time at the end of class and we get through all the other material, what I will usually do is offer to stay and start on the assignment, and then anybody that wants to stay can stay, and anybody that needs to go can go. So this week is just to introduce yourself to me. I have 5 or 6 questions that I would like you to address. I have provided an example that you can download and take a look at over here in assignment files. So if I click on it, it will ask me where it wants to save this. It's just a Word document file where I've actually filled these out like I was one of you guys. The instructions, the rubric again, and then just a reminder that there's the quiz, and I will try at the bottom to have an assignment summary, because sometimes we run into having several different files that you need to turn in, and I want you to be able to get all of your points. It's not on here at the moment, but I will have a video tutorial eventually explaining how to package and zip files together when they're submitted all to one assignment, in this case they're actually not. They each have their own thing, so we won't need it this week. But in following weeks, that's something you can expect to see down there, is to zip it into folders. That's the basic layout of how our weekly lessons will look. The couple other things I just want to point out on the website are, if I scroll all the way up here to the top, I have resources. So if you click on resources, you'll see that they're organized by topic. The top one is color theory, which is what we're covering this week. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page with all sorts of extra goodies. These aren't assigned that you have to go through them. I would just recommend, kind of picking through them and finding good stuff. I will be trying to come through and list which ones are videos. Starting about 2/3 of the way through last semester, I started listing if it was a video and how long it took. Some of these are really excellent resources. For example, this week or next week we'll take a look at Color, which is a color theme generator by Adobe that's quite useful. Anyway, plenty of resources. So the one I would love for you to take a quick look at this week is down here at the bottom, called Wellness Tips. So let me talk to you just a tiny bit about that. Why the concern? My concern is because in my personal experience, I was not educated about this stuff very early, and as a result, I suffer from some pretty awesome physical problems from sitting at a desk doing my job all day. You can run into things like carpal tunnel, tendonitis, poor eyesight, migraines, stress headaches, as well as losing the curvature of your spine, which can cause other problems, and that's what I'm actually dealing with. So here are some things that you can take a look through and find what works for you and try implementing them. Ergonomic wellness practices can help reduce muscle and joint pain, improve muscle limbernesss, and increase your overall sense of well-being. And I can promise that that is the case. I'm not the best at following these as much as I preach about them, but when I do, I can see a big difference. So go ahead and look down through there. If you come across something else that you would actually recommend for me to put into this, or actually any of the other reference pages, please just shoot me an email with a link and a description of kind of what it is and why you feel it would be useful. So let's, actually I'm going to wrap up this video and do the syllabus in a second one.